What's up? This is the Dre and Ueder Arcane podcast, and as I said, I'm here with Dre.
Hi.
So today we're gonna be talking about who the greatest character in Arcane is, but before that happens, what are your thoughts on Arcane as a whole?
I think it's probably one of the best written shows I've ever come across, and I deeply regret not watching it sooner. Just because, oh my god, the cinematography, the animation, the entire storyline, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed.
I'm gonna completely agree with you there, cause they don't know about this, but I said it to you before. First of all, the animation itself is some of the most fluid, most detailed, most eye-dropping, gorgeous animation to ever be seen. Like simply, and it captures so much emotion, and you know, the characters' voices just seem to fit them. Everything just seems to work in the show, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, moving on. What are your thoughts on, who the best character is? I already know, but what are your thoughts?
You do. Yeah, I'm very vocal about this, so you already know. But Victor from Arcane, obviously, Victor, I think he is the best character in the entire show. What about you?
Me, it's definitely Echo, but I can see why Victor is really respected, because he is a really close second to Echo. So, I mean, why does Victor resonate so much with you?
Well, for one, he just has a lot of importance within the plot of Arcane. He's an allegory to Jesus, which is fun.
Yep.
Yeah, his disability isn't infantilized within the show's context, so that's cool. A lot of shows will kind of uh, put their disabled characters either really high or on a really low pedestal, and it freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, they tend to either pity
Yeah,
them or give them so much they just don't feel like a normal character anymore.
yeah, and I think Victor steps out of that kind of hierarchy of disabled people. Why do you like Victor so much? What separates him from the other characters in the show for you?
Well, you said Victor. If I am gonna talk about Victor just a little bit, Victor,
Oh, did I say Victor?
you did say Victor, but you know what? I'll give him a little bit of credit real quick. Victor is by far the best written character in Arcane, hands down. Close second is Jinx, but Victor, the subtle way that his story is told is just amazing. And the one scene where he was slowly running past all the boats when, as a small child, he was barely even able to keep up with his toy one, is just an absolutely amazing piece of storytelling. And it's just, it's great.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, now let's actually move on to the character you want to talk about. Echo. What separates him from the rest of the characters in the show?
He's just a nice guy. He's a nice and cool guy. And I think that represents him as a whole, but that doesn't mean he's as simple as he seems. He is constantly striving to just better his community, which is always seen in a good light, because human virtues just usually draw in viewers and just audiences in general, because it has something to look up to. You're able to admire someone who's able to hold up these virtues so well. And Echo does that completely. He's smart, he's strong, he's tactical. He has pretty much the entire package. He's in a whole package of a man, simply. But how do you feel about people not liking Victor and why they don't like him?
Um, okay, I think a lot of people don't like Victor because of his weird moral compass. With Echo, you can clearly see where he's coming from, and a lot of what he does in the show comes from the way he views the world and all of the good he wants to do for the world and his own community. So I like if you like Echo, there's kind of a chance you won't like Victor because of just I guess his weirdness of his moral compass is more he just leans too hard into trying to save the world that he just takes it over.
Yeah, and I think another reason is that people see him focus on his flaws a lot. Even Jay says it. He's very flaw focused as a character, which for me, I personally like. I like seeing a character look at their flaws and understand them, but not get held down by them, and is still able to work around them and eventually do whatever they want to do. But yeah, he's still a great character, and people that don't like him just might need to, I don't know.
Yeah. Why do you think people don't like Echo? Like, what are your thoughts?
He does not have as much screen time as I believe he should, which really angers me because he is such a great character. But lots of people don't put him on the same tier of main character, such as Jinx, Vi, Jace, Victor, right? He doesn't have nearly as much screen time as them, but the impact he makes in such a small amount of time is why I love him. But others just they want to see their favorite character a lot. Hold on, Lana.
Come eat.
Excuse me. My foster kid just walked into the room. Not my foster kid. Blah blah blah. Right, but he is not shown much, and lots of people want to see a lot of their favorite character. And sometimes people will always belittle characters with no screen time. Like in many shows, when someone says, "Oh yeah, this is my favorite character," an immediate retort is no screen time. That's just something that happens, and can't really do much about it. But I think it's better to look at their accomplishments rather than how much time they've been on the screen.
Yeah, I agree with that, and also I feel like that makes me upset because Echo was supposed to have more time on screen, but just didn't. A lot of his scenes were cut.
Yeah, which especially and we'll get more into depth about this later, his relationship with Jinx. He was supposed to have an extra like 40 minutes with Jinx, which I would have absolutely loved because I wanted to see more of their development. It's just their relationship is very complex, and I just don't know how to describe it, but I will later. So
Yeah.
on the topic of relationships, why is J Vic so great in your opinion?
Jace and Victor. Come on now. I think by far they're probably one of the most like popular ships within this whole show. Even though technically they're not gay. They're just bros.
Technically, but
Still.
they're soulmates
They're still
anyway, either
soulmates.
way. Yes, exactly.
Right. So, I think a lot of what I love about Victor comes from his relationship with Jace. A lot of what both of them do is for each other. They think about each other almost all the time, and a lot of their goals directly derive from one another. Because even after Jace shoots Victor to stop him from taking over the world, a lot of his thought process still revolves around Victor and just what Victor's gonna do, and Victor, because
Yeah.
they love each other too much.
And it's so clearly shown in the scenes where, trigger warning, where they're about to kill themselves. That the reason they're about to kill themselves is mostly because they think they failed in something, and for that split amount of time, they do not have the other in mind, and that's why they don't think straight. Basically, they don't think rationally. They're not thinking about anything. But
Yeah,
we first have Victor coming in and saving Jace from killing himself after the whole scandal of him, doing science work illegally. And he just slides right in and says, "Am I interrupting?" And that's one of their first scenes together. And it's still just a great scene together because it's a really good introduction to how Victor is like, how Jace is like, Jace's current struggles, and how Victor is going to be able to help him afterwards.
yeah. And on the extra topic of relationships, do you want to get into Jinx and Echo, aka Time Bomb now?
Most definitely, because their relationship has always been alluded to, even in the first couple of episodes. Um, when they were even kids, you could see that Echo would sometimes be staring at Jinx for a little bit of time. There would sometimes be scenes where we just see Echo staring at her. Not many scenes, but every now and then there'd be one or two. I think at most there was one or two actually. But that was just something nice to see that, oh, these guys have, either friendly or maybe like have a crush on each other since they're still tiny kids, right? But when we're reintroduced to Echo in episode 7, his viewpoint completely changes about Jinx, but it's understandable as to why. Knowing his moral compass, he can't focus on keeping and maintaining a relationship with Jinx when she is so utterly insane at this point, right? It's just impossible to.
Yeah.
And like later on, they do obviously get better, but still in episode 7, when Echo easily wins a fight against her, which is still very surprising, he hesitates for a slight moment, and we can tell that he's realized something, and eventually it's shown where he goes ahead, stops Jinx from, offing herself as well, and it's just I like how they aren't always together, but the moments they are either action filled or get you to understand their relationship better.
Yeah, I think Time Bomb is almost like the opposite of JVic, where JVic has a lot of screen time. They're almost always together, but their relationship kind of develops more subtly than that. But with Time Bomb, they don't have a lot of time together, but when they are, it's just like, wow, Jesus Christ, these two people are in love with each other.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like like Time Bomb's name is pretty much perfect. The time they have together is pretty much like a bomb. It just explodes. We see everything happen at once. But J Vic is just way subtler because they have so much more screen time, and they're just able to slowly develop better. Which I think sometimes it's good to have a mix of both in a show, which Arcane does, and they pulled it off amazingly. So
Yeah, and just a little tiny point because I think we're running out of time. But speaking of screen time, how do you feel about those cut scenes of Time Bomb?
I'm angered that they're not in the original show. Is all I'll say, because we are nearing 13 minutes here.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So do you have any final things you want to say before we end this all?
End this all. Sorry. Arcane is a great show. I think everyone should watch it and develop their own opinions on it because this was a life-changing experience.
Yeah. And for me, every single person that watches Arcane is able to find that slight detail everyone else missed. So go ahead,
Yeah.
watch it, do your thing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for listening in, and see ya.